Yes, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Stephen Howson, 5 things we learned. Let's have a look at how United managed to pick up 3 points against Fulham, right? Let's get into it then. Number 1, Garnacho, absolute star. All the tools, all the swag, all the pace, injected life into what was, I'm going to be honest, a bleeding boring second half performance. He's doing what you want a youngster to come and do, what we've asked Donny van der Beek to do, which he's failed to do, which is come on and stake a claim. Come on, make things happen and take the game by the scruff of the neck. In November, 2 weeks into November, Garnacho become the youngest overseas player to score for United in a European competition, become the youngest player to register 2 assists in a game for Manchester United, and scores his first Premier League goal, a 93rd minute winner, picking up all 3 points for the club. Not a bad month, I would say. Hell of a shout for player of the month, I would say. Some argument that he could have been on the plane. Anyway. Number 2, right back is a concern. And we knew that all season. Dalot's having one of those seasons he'll be telling his grandkids about. I am absolutely certain of that. But without Dalot, there is no recognised backup. And we were shocking down that side. I think Malacia has looked good at left back, but that didn't translate to right back in the slightest. He was all over. I don't know if it was his angles was off. It was just maybe Alanga wasn't supporting him. I have no idea what the result or the reason for it was, but he was just miles off. He looked so far off it. No outlet, no ball progression. Wasn't even good in transition. It just seemed to be miles off it. A lot of Fulham's danger actually came through Andreas Pereira, if we're being honest with ourselves, but it also came down that channel. You got to get a backup. You got to get a backup in January. And honestly, we could do worse than playing Ethan Laird. Now, Ethan, you're going to have to convince him to come back by promising him X amount of minutes, because he ain't going to come back. He's playing, and they're loving him at QPR. Now, if you want to ring him up and go, listen, pal, here's the crack, you're going to have to tell him he's going to play. And I think Ethan Laird is good enough to play. And he's definitely good enough to be back up. So, something's going to have to give. And you've got an opportunity with a real player in Ethan Laird. But it's going to take some stones to be able to promise him and deliver the promise. You can't promise it and not deliver. To promise him the minutes that he deserves. Number 3, goal threat issue. We're going to draw games and lose games that we should win based on performance, possession, and chances created because we don't have anybody that's capable of putting the ball in the back of the net. The lack of clinicalness will cost us games in this season. And we've had a great start with the defence this season, but it puts a lot of pressure on the defence, which 50% of was missing against Fulham. Getting a habit of keeping teams in games is risky because the Premier League don't allow you to do that generally. You have enough opportunities to put teams away. You've got to put them away because otherwise you'll drop points. And I think there's probably going to be 4 teams going for 2 positions inside that top 4. And a little slip where you should have got the 3 points might be enough to leave you looking up the table going, we balls that one right up, didn't we? Number 4, January look ahead. So it's obvious, I think, what the first team needs. A right back, a striker. Planning, I'd say planning should start now, but planning should have started weeks ago because it's not just like we got to tonight and went, do you think we need a striker, lads? I would have hoped that this was on the cards a long ass time ago, in all honesty. But let's just say, for the benefit of the doubt, now's the time to start looking. Don't watch the World Cup and try and pick someone that does well at a World Cup. That don't work. Pick someone that's been doing well for their club that you're sure of and maybe get him sorted out before he has a good World Cup and adds an extra 20 million euros to his price, because that's not going to do us any good whatsoever. Something at right back and a striker are absolutely vital. Everything else we'll sort out in the summer. Could be the difference come the end of the season. Because if Dalot gets an injury that keeps him out for a month or 2, forget it. You haven't got anybody. If Anthony Marshall goes down and you have one injury to another winger, I still don't think Marcus can play down the middle. I think you're probably going to see it, though. I think Garnacho, Rashford and Anthony is a pacey forward 3 that you might see at some point. But There's no guarantees Marcus is going to be able to do it down the middle, despite the fact that it looks like he's learning. There's going to be outgoings. I've seen Cristiano Ronaldo's been talking to Piers Morgan. You better believe we'll be doing a reaction to that, because I am not happy. If he's gone and been interviewed by that prick when he should have been playing for the club, that's it. Done. So that might not be the case, but if that is the case, game over, and he needs to go. But I'll do a full thing on that. Don't worry about that. We got to get. There's going to be incomings. There's going to be outgoings. There's going to be some carnage happens around the World Cup. So we got to get our ducks in a row right now and see what we can do. No, there's players that haven't gone to the World Cup that you could start talking to now. They're going to be doing jack shit for the next 2 weeks. Take them round Carrington. Go and show them what it's all about. And obviously leading into that, number 5, injuries. World Cup comes at a time when United do need a break. There's some injuries, there's some fatigue. The depth that we have for the second half of the season will be very important. And we're going to have to hope that our stars come back unscathed, because we're going to need them. We've already seen a bit of an impact and a wobble in the performance level the last couple of weeks because of the suspensions and the injuries racking up. We cannot allow the drop-off that there is from the first to the backups to impact the season in a significant way. We're going to need to be able to perform at the levels that we've seen us perform at in recent weeks. Not quite the last week or two, but no, a couple of weeks ago, where we was really starting to put it on teams. That's where we can see the vision that Ten Hag's got. That's the team that we want to see. We want to see Varane back fit and healthy, playing alongside a fit and healthy Lisandro Martinez. We want to see all of these things stacking up in a row, because that's where we will see the progress. And United have got a hell of a task on our hands. Like I said a second ago, the top 4 is going to be very difficult to achieve, but it's vital that you achieve it, because Europa League ain't it. You got to be in the Champions League. Literally, people will look at you and did you qualify for the Champions League? All right, I'm in. Did you qualify for the Champions League? No. Yeah, no thanks. And not only that, we've got a hell of a draw in the Europa League on the other side of this. And we've got a hell of a draw in the League Cup about 20 minutes after the World Cup final, where we're probably going to have a player involved, at least one, I would imagine. So there's a hell of a lot Manchester United need to get right. Now, that's it for United. But I'm heading off to Qatar on Friday. We will be keeping the World Cup content coming, so don't you worry about that. Make sure to subscribe. There's going to be extra stuff going on Patreon. Ronaldo is coming out there with me, so keep it locked. Make sure to tune in, and I'll see you out on the other side. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.